Welcome to the Website Success Show, the podcast dedicated to helping women in business get more traffic and sales through their website with less reliance on social media and paid ads. I'm Jules White, the founder of the Website Success Hub, and I love helping local and online businesses make more money through their existing website. If you have a business you love, but you don't like the way your website performs, then this is the show for you.
Hi, it's Jules here. Welcome back to the Website Success Show. So today we're diving into a website SEO audit for my lovely client B from B in the Kitchen. Welcome B, it's great to have you here.
Thank you. Great to be here too, actually.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. So hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll have identified one or two key areas you can focus on to reach your goals over the next 6 months. So if we were to talk in 6 months' time, a question that I always ask at the beginning of these calls, then so if we were talking in 6 months' time and you were telling me about the amazing things that were happening in your business, how would your website be helping with that?
Oh, well, people would be finding me, therefore they would be subscribing more. So I'd have many more people on my mailing list. I'd be getting, bookings coming in just tick, 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 more readily. I'd have more Google reviews. Everything would just be, solidly on the up. And, it is starting to go on the up. So it just feels very exciting. So I think that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, so your website is actually doing its job, basically. So doing what it should be doing for you. It's brilliant. I love that. That's fantastic. So before we start, tell us a little bit about your business and how your website kind of currently sits within your marketing activities.
Yeah, so I'm Big Sappy and I have a cookery school, an online cookery school teaching teenagers to cook and primarily for their DV award scheme cooking skills. So that's the broad part of it. And my website holds 7 courses, of which there are 21 variants. And students get to choose which course they want and what level they want. So all of that is very self-explanatory. And also within the website, you learn more about me, my background, because there's quite a lot of it, and why I'm the best person for you, and also to pick which level of support you want from me and at different price points. So yeah, and then you've got links to my social media, and not that we need that anymore.
Of course not.
And links to the various organisations I've been involved with, and hopefully just you get a really good feel for why I'm a sound person to support you if this is where you need to be.
Brilliant, fantastic. So are you doing much marketing outside of your website at the moment? Are you how are clients finding you at the moment?
Well, I know because I've been running my business itself for, I started in 2017, and I know that every time a student comes through, they do a registration form. And I know that most of my students come because they either hear about me through their school or because most part they Google me. Okay. And so, yes, I have a presence on social media, but I have in fact dropped that down because I think it's a good support act. Because you can cross-check, am I relevant? Am I up to date? Am I whatever? But it's not where my clients come from per se.
No, fantastic. And the great thing is about if we can get Google working more for you, is that it keeps working regardless of whether you feel like posting on the day or not.
Yeah, like another review today.
Yay, fantastic. So I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Thank you.
Yes, so I'm just going to refresh this screen because then come back to what people see when they first come into your website. So there are a couple of bits. I've obviously you've worked so hard. You are in the membership, which is great. It's great having you there. Yeah. So you've worked so hard so far on the progress you've been making. It's been brilliant. And just now, I just came on and said, "Oh, I love what you've done with the website. It's looking great." Is there anything in particular that's holding you back right now, or anything in particular that's kind of feeling like it's been the most difficult part of all of this, of actually getting your website working for you?
I think it was just earlier on, really helping you. I did a power hour with you, and you just helped me understand that, my colours were wrong. It was too loud. And immediately we realised as we started calming things down, it's like, oh my goodness, it's a bit more calm. So I think in terms of what's really nice at the moment, we still have a to-do list, but I think we would absolutely love for clarity for you to just are we going in the right
Are
direction?
you going in the right direction? Yeah,
I think that's
definitely.
the key thing.
Yeah,
In the right
absolutely.
direction. And the glaringly obvious things which are not glaringly obvious to us, but then become glaringly obvious.
Yes.
We love it when you point those things out to me.
Okay, there's definitely a couple of those. I had a little look before we came on, and there were a few of those things really. But that's a really good point that you mentioned about just not knowing where to start. I think a lot of people feel like this. I talked about this a couple of episodes ago. I should have found the link for it. I'll put it in the show notes. Of the stop guessing filter, where you can actually start going through, because we can often end up just tinkering with our website and not doing the things that make a big difference. And I remember when we did your power hour, we found some fundamental things like the fact that you hadn't submitted a sitemap to Google. I'm not sure, I can't remember I know we did some work around Google Search Console. I can't remember if you actually had it set up, or we did that within the power hour. But that kind of basic things, that's the things to sort of focus on first, which is what you've been doing. You've been working through those things of getting your data set up, thinking about who you're really trying to attract and the messaging that you're wanting to get across. Have you, with your homepage, have you set kind of a target keyword or a thing that you want this page to be showing up for? Because that's often where it can be a bit of a stumbling block if we're trying to get all of our pages to show up for the same sort of things, really. Have you, sorry, I put you on the spot there a little bit, but
I mean, so I have and actually I know that you've now got, but we're not using it. You've got in the membership, you've got a keyword sort of spreadsheet, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, the clarity map, the website clarity
map. So we've not got onto that, but yes, definitely I have been using keywords. You're going to ask me what they are, but I mean, and I'm going to go because, but definitely, historically, I have been using keywords. Cooking for teenagers, cooking classes, teenage cooking classes, D.O.V., Duke of Edinburgh, all of these things have been infiltrated through.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we've just done a whole load more sort of aligning and adding in, problem areas and whatever on the homepage. It's like I said to Bev, well, we've done all this, but actually we haven't come back to keywords. But it was important to get the sections in.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And
that's one thing I would say actually, is that actually taking action, doing something is better than doing nothing, really. So even just starting to get those additional words throughout your website and quite often this can be where people do get light bulb moments when I say, actually, this is the thing, like quite often people will see a little keyword box in their website builder and they'll put some words in there and then they won't mention those anywhere else throughout their website. So that's one of the things, it's just actually mentioning what we want to show up for throughout our website is important. But just having that little bit of focus, and that's what you might find the clarity map will help. That is actually something that's available on my website as well for listeners who aren't part of the membership. But you can actually buy that as a standalone product, and that's something that just helps you to keep track of the keywords that you're trying to show up for on your website, helps you look at your website pages and work out what you're trying to achieve with those pages as well, what the next action is, what action you want people to take, how you want them to feel, what the purpose of those pages are. And just starting to think about that is where you actually take that step back and think about the strategy of your website and, okay, what do I want to show up for? That's something I would definitely say to think about is, okay, who am I trying to help? How does it help them? How does it make their life better? What problems does it solve for them? Or what does it help them to achieve? And what do I want to be known for in relation to that? And then once you've thought about that, then you can think, okay, which page of my website is the best one to do that job, to actually show up for that particular thing that I want to show up for? And sometimes there is a bit of crossover between the different pages, but if you can have a primary focus for one particular page, it makes it so much easier to optimize that page, because then you can add that particular target phrase that you're wanting to show up for into like your page titles and descriptions and your H1 headings. And that's what I'm going to dive into here. I'm going to use my little SEO tool and just show you some of the ways we could maybe look at how your homepage could be a little bit more optimized. If you are feeling a bit like this of I'm not quite sure what I want this page to show up for, and I think that's quite a common thing as well, one thing you can do is look into your Google Search Console and see what Google is already associating with this page. I'm just going to nip into my little SEO tool, which I had a little look earlier. It's definitely, I like to see the fact that your graph is heading on the up. That's a really good thing. So this is just, this is an outside view of your website. So you might see slightly different things within your Google Search Console. But if we actually look at, let me just rearrange via URL. This is something you can do in your own Google Search Console, where you can just filter by the pages and just have a look at your homepage and see what search terms are being shown up there. And you can see the average position that you're showing up for that in Google Search Console as well. And you'll see roughly how many clicks you're getting through to your websites, how many impressions, which is the number of times that Google has actually associated your website with that particular keyword. So we're seeing in here lots of things around cookery classes. Let's have a little look at what's got some good search volume in here. Cooking class for teens. That's cooking classes for teens. Cooking lessons for teenagers. So with these, where I'm seeing all of these ones like cooking class for teens, cooking classes for teenagers, all of the ones that have got a search volume of 320, because they are all exactly the same search volume, it's likely that Google is associating those with the same thing. Google knows that cooking courses for teenagers is the same as cooking class for teens. So it appears that your homepage, let's have a little look. Let me just put in D of E. Okay, so yeah, your homepage is being associated a lot more with cooking class for teens than it is for D of E, but that might not be a bad thing, because there's probably a lot more search volume around that anyway. And then you can become more specific and still mention D of E within that. But I would maybe say to focus on the cookery class or cooking class or something along those lines as a focus keyword for your homepage, really. One thing I would just say as we come back into this page is, are you getting many sign-ups from this pop-up here that comes up on your page? Are you tracking how people are actually signing up to your email list?
I mean, the numbers are going up. I mean, we've gone from 600 to, I don't know, 754 or something like that. And it's not thousands. And I presume they're coming from this, but that's a presumption.
Do you have other ways for people to sign up for your
No,
email?
I mean, there's another pop-up at the, if you scroll to the end of this page, there's another that they can sign in. But fundamentally, this comes up on most pages. So that's
I would consider just within that pop-up, or it'll be in the automations. I know you're using FEO Create, so you can do all of this within the automations. I would set up a little automation that tells you whether people are signing up through that form at the bottom of your website or through the pop-up, only because I think the pop-up is quite big, and it comes up and it immediately kind of blocks the page a little bit. And certainly if I look at your site on mobile, it pretty much blocks the page. And I would think about whether that's why I want you to track it, because then you can think about whether this is actually helping or whether it's maybe not. Maybe even just making this slightly smaller, make a slightly smaller box. Or I've actually got a podcast episode on how to set up a sign up page that is more likely then to get people to actually take action and sign up. So let's see, does this take me to it? So it takes you to a sign up form here anyway, but I think this is not necessarily helping. Google isn't keen. I know you made this so it loads after 10 seconds, which that's good. But sometimes I think these pop-ups, certainly from a user's point of view, then they're more annoying than anything else, really. I don't know how you feel about when you go onto websites.
I don't know. No, I'll just take the advice. So I would. Pop-up can be annoying. It's just it's that cool. It was that call to action thing. That was
absolutely. But whether this is the best way to do that, or whether there are other things you could do that then aren't pop-ups potentially. But that's why I say measure it, because actually, if you're finding you're getting loads of people signing up through this, then it might not be. A thing.
Signing up. Signing up to a free newsletter is. Well, I suppose it's about engagement, isn't it? The more people I have on that list, the better. But
absolutely, and they're taking action, and they're then they're putting their hand in the air to say they're more interested in hearing from you. So definitely, I think it's good that you've got that call to action there that you want people to take. But whether the pop-up itself could potentially be harming the rest of your people then taking the action which you really want, which is for them to buy from you, really. So
Yeah.
I think, and maybe also even just a little bit of streamlining on it. So maybe just making that box, as I say, a little bit smaller. If you decide, actually, I'm going to keep that pop up there, make the box a bit smaller, maybe take the dots off around the outside, just make it, again, it's that thing of just streamlining it, making it look a little bit less busy, I think would then tie in with the work that you've done. That is fantastic. This is just so much clearer and easier to understand what you've got here now. It's fantastic. I love that you've got some social proof in your hero section. That's brilliant. The only thing I thought with this is whether if you could put rather than having this thanks be on the line underneath, just put the person's first name, so you can immediately see it's a testimonial. So for your homepage, when I had a little look using my little SEO tool, this is a free Google Chrome plugin that anybody can get if you want to have a little look at your own website and you want to see what you've actually got set up in terms of heading structure. Then this is AIO SEO, so all-in-one SEO analyzer. You can, as I say, just go to the Google Chrome store and download that. I'm just going to click on the little box here, and what this tells me is your page title, your description, tells me about your heading structure on your page as well. We need to have a little chat about that. So this is the page title and description. If you were thinking that you wanted online cookery school for teenagers to be your target keyword for this page, which I think that's not a bad thing to target. One thing I did wonder was between cookery school and cookery classes. And I think when we looked from looking in here, let's have a little look. Cooking classes, I can certainly, just from a school cooking, schools cooking, cooking school, let's have a little look. Let's filter by school and see just if people seem to be looking in relation to what. So cooking in school, cooking for school, cooking class in school, cooking at school. So potentially school has got a slightly different search intent versus cooking class. So I maybe, if I was thinking about, okay, let's have a target keyword for that page, I would maybe think about changing this to classes or class. Classes would make more sense. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, if it works, I'm fine.
Yeah, it might just be a slightly better way to connect with what people are searching for.
Yeah.
So if that was the case, then you'd be thinking about, I always like to see whatever target keyword you're trying to get this page, and I say keyword, key phrase is what we really mean here. So whatever you're trying to get this page to show up for, we want that at the front end of your title. So we call it front loading it. So I would like to see you switch this around. So maybe it's online cookery class for teenagers, and then maybe like something like the pipe symbol or a little dash, not an EM long dash, makes it look like it's AI written, but just something that then splits it, and then your business name at the end. I would capitalize this as well. So I would put in and the capitalized. I think because it's your business name and because it's here in your title, I think it makes it stand out a bit more as well. So yeah, I would switch it to something like that. So once you make that decision between cookery class, cookery classes, cooking class, cooking classes, and Google understands that these are all the same things, but it's just what makes the most sense in terms of something to focus on and to target. Change that in your title. Make sure you keep it ideally under 70, around 60 seems to work well for page titles. And characters, thank you. Yes, yeah. And this even tells you how many characters you've got within the website clarity map. If you put your page titles and descriptions in there, so it allows you to list in all your website pages, you can decide, like, add in what you're trying to target for on that page. And then you can also put in what you've decided on for your page title and description. And then it will go to green if you've got the right amount of characters. If you've got not enough or too many, it will stay yellow or red, I think it is. But that's quite handy as well, because then you can put it into the spreadsheet and then you know if you've got the right sort of length, and then you can just copy and paste that into your website builder. So I would also then think about your description. So with the page title and description, your page title is, if you were thinking about a Google search results page, the page title is the blue links, like those 10 blue links that we would traditionally see on a Google search results page. The page description is the bit that shows underneath it. And ideally what we want the page title to do is sort of align with what this page is about, really. And then the page description, we want that to be something that makes people want to click through. So quite often writing them as if you were talking to that person who's reading the page tends to be a better way to do it. So maybe rather than saying be Kasapian offers, maybe it's are you, and this is one of the issues with your website, is whether you are actually talking to the teenagers or whether you're talking to the parents. And you probably know that better yourself. But if there's a way you can kind of not be specific, so I don't know how you would do that within there of like keeping it so you're not saying, are you doing your D&B and you need to learn more, or that, but you could have a think about that. Does that make sense in terms of what
keeping it broader so that it is less specific to the parents, so that either a teenager or a parent feels in there, or does it need to be just the one or the other?
I think it would depend on who you think who you think is your website user. And this is a prime example of when our website user might not necessarily, and the person who's paying the bills might not necessarily be the person who's actually getting the benefits of it. It's a bit like if you're selling, baby products, then you're aiming it towards the parents, but it's difficult when it's teenagers who could essentially be looking for this themselves, really. So have you spent any time thinking about this, of who is coming in?
I mean, I know it's both. It's predominantly parents because they're paying the bill.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say keep that in mind then. Yeah, definitely. And you could even have something on your website that helps, like, are you a teenager looking to build the skills, or have you got a teenager who's looking to build the skills? You could even, somewhere down the line think about, well, okay, what do they need? And it might even be that they need a slightly different frequently asked questions or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily mean you've got to have a whole separate sections in your website, but it's certainly worth thinking about that. Of, what do these two users of my website need to know? And then I would just think about that description. ChatGPT might be quite good at helping you with this, actually, of this is what I want to say. I want to say, are you looking to build your D&B skills? But can you give me a way to say that would then apply whether it was a teenager or a parent who was looking at it? So yeah, I would do that. But again, you want to try and the description should be like a summary of the page. But it should be trying to get that person to come through, like not a summary, but explaining that what's on that page and getting people to come through. I'm just trying to see. I mean, even something like this might not be bad. So fun, flexible D&B cooking classes with real recipes, simple videos, and kind support. It's not bad. That's something that in terms of, it's good for there, but in terms of actually a meta description, a page description, using that as a starting point might not be a bad thing, really. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm losing track as to where we put the meta description. That's what.
So within FEA Create, the box, the annoying box that comes in, it's in there, and it's called meta description, page description, just description in some website builders. But this is all the stuff you would build out in that back end of FEA Create. But this is a really good example, coming back to episode 108, where I talked about why our websites feel so overwhelming, because quite often we do try and do all three things at once. So we try and think about the strategy of what am I trying to achieve with this page. Then we try and write the description or write the copy to actually go on the pages. And then we try and build it in our website builder, and we try and squish it all into one and do the three things at once. But actually, if you can separate that out, so this is where having the plan of, okay, this is the description I want for this page. Like even if you do your core pages to begin with, and then you go into FEA Create and you build that, and then you add it in once you've actually thought about, yep, I know what I need to put in there. I've just got to go in and do that. And obviously you've got some help with you as well. So that's always helpful to have someone else to go in and say, this is what I want you to plug into my website. Really. So that could be just some little tweaks that you could do for your page title and your description, definitely. And then looking at your heading structure of your homepage, there's a bit of work to do. And this is unfortunately one of the problems with Go High Level, which FEA Create is built on. With the website builder, they've made some changes to it, which does make it's better, but it's not, because right now it sometimes changes H1. It sometimes changes headings back to H1s without you realizing. And I've definitely had this on one of my pages. I went in and I had 36 H1 headings, which I think was the
Oh my
record.
Lord.
But it was because it had gone in, they'd done an update to the website builder, and then it had changed a lot of the stuff in there. So very annoying, but it's worth keeping an eye on this sort of stuff as well. And hopefully you shouldn't have to do this. Once you've done it once and you've got your structure set up, then hopefully it's only, you know, these are random things that seem to be happening at the moment. But quite often people haven't thought about their H1s and H2s and things. So with there any...
Sorry, can I just ask you? So we're just slightly confused. So, we're not. But in terms of the H1 settings on FEA, there are two places that there's the sort of pop-up thing when you're adding script where you can click in H1, H2 or whatever. And then also on the right-hand side in the builder, you can change the font size.
Yes.
So this is a grey area for us, which we'd love to clarify.
Yes.
Is H1 related to font size, or is it something different?
So H1 is, and this is a really good question actually, H1 is essentially when websites were first built, it was there to tell the back end, it was the back end code that would tell Google that these are the important bits of websites. But unfortunately, we're kind of set up a little bit to fail with this because the modern website builders set us up to use it for styling. So we use it to make some areas look bigger and smaller. And unfortunately, that's where it all goes a bit wrong. So we think we're setting it up to make it look different, but then that just completely confuses the bots that are reading through our website. Now, there is a bit of an issue with that with FEA Create, where actually now we've got those two places where we can edit our font size, or our you know, it is font size because it does change the font sizes. But it's more important, the back-end code that it's telling Google and AI bots about your website. So you could have something that looks big, but you've actually set it as a paragraph text because you just want it to visually look big on your website. So I would suggest, as much as you can, keep these selections over in that right-hand side panel if you're using FEA Create. Because if you do it in the actual pop-up bit, it overrides what's in the other side. So if you then go in and try and change it at a later date, you know, you've got to remember that you've changed it there. One thing you can do with this, if you're not sure, is you can go in and there's a little icon, and if you hover over it, it says remove formatting. And that will then get rid of any headings and things on there, and you can set them on the right-hand side, which feels quite technical. The way you can check this is actually go in and have your website open, the front end of your website open, like I've got it here, and then that will tell you that you can see on there that you've got, do you need stress-free cooking support for your teens? This is a H1 heading at the moment. So you can then go in and just make sure you've just got one H1 heading on your page. It is unfortunate that in FEA Create as well, if you put a little enter, so if you put this on 2 lines, if you've put enter to actually get this to go onto 2 lines, it's setting it up as if it's 2 separate H1 headings. So you've got D of E Cookery School for teenagers. So you might be better to take out the return, like take out the enter that you've got on the end of this line here,
yeah, and
just adjust your box size so it comes down to it where you want it to be. But bear in mind that if you're looking on different screens, it's going to look different anyway. If I close this down. So yeah, so you can see here, so because you've got the 4 in its own line, then it's then, obviously you wouldn't get 4 teenagers both on one line here, but it could potentially be school for or something like that. So just adjust your box size with that. But bearing in mind, you can't always control what other people are seeing at the front end of that.
Okay.
Does that make sense in terms of being able to see what's going on with the structure of your website there? So you've got like watch the video and hear me chatting about what I do and how to navigate the web. This is set as a H1 heading.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the way that it, unfortunately, as I say, the way that these website builders are set up. If you drag in a box that says that's a heading box, it will set it as a H1. So then you have to remember to go in and set it. And then ideally what we would want to see is so we'd want just one H1 heading on the page. And then within that, you'd have some H2 headings. So if you think of your H1 heading, if we were back at school and writing an English essay, that would be the main title of what we do. And then the H2s would be the subheadings that we need to have within that. So that could be on a page like this. If you've got something on here where it links to the courses, and then maybe you have a heading with that. So, you know, online cookery courses, you could even have that as a subheading within this page, and then so that would be a H2, and then H3 might be your 3 most popular courses. Or if you've got ways that you can, like if you've got a way to not have all, I think you said 12 courses together, then do you break those up into, let me have a little look.
There are
Online
7
cooking
courses that each have 3 different levels.
Okay. So yeah, off to uni, definitely. So whether it is, then you have, let's have a little look. So explore online cooking courses could be its own section where the title is explore cookery courses or explore online cookery courses. Let's that pop up again. And then beneath that, it could be D&V cookery courses, off to uni cookery courses, or send cookery courses, something like that. You can spend some time thinking about that of, okay,
we've got a separate page which talks all about D&V, and
yes,
then we've got another page which has got all the courses on. So
okay,
you're saying that we would put that all in the home page, but
so only in a section. So not that you would get rid of these pages or anything, but you just maybe have a section on your homepage of explore our courses, which would be a H2 heading. So if your H1 heading, let's come back to your homepage again. If your H1 heading on your page was D&V cookery classes for tea, or whether you have that D&V within the H1 heading on your homepage, or whether it is online cookery classes for teenagers is the heading on your homepage, and then within that you'd have a H2 heading of explore our online cookery classes, or explore our classes for or cookery classes for teenagers, or something like that. And then within that you'd have a H3 heading of D&V cookery classes, off to uni cookery classes, like what you'd have sort of within those. Does that make sense?
So.
I'm sorry,
I'm shocked seeing all those H1s, and it must be, from what you've described, a bit of upgrading FEA Creator.
Yes, but don't feel despondent about this, because this is a really quick and easy fix. Because all you can do, just literally have two windows open. So you've got the window that's the front end of your website here. You have this open. You've got FEA Create in another window, and you literally just go through and change them from H1s to H2s as they need to be, really. Yeah. And then, yeah, as you're thinking about doing that, there's definitely some work to do on what other H2 headings you need within your homepage there as well. Let's have a little look. So I saw you had your 3 steps to success. Definitely you could have that in here. So you could maybe have a heading of 3 simple steps to learning to cook, or like thinking about what the transformed state is. What do we say? So 3 simple steps to a love of cooking, or something like that. Your homepage you keep it general, like, rather than it being specific, because then on the D&V page you could have 3 simple steps to gaining your D&V skills, or cookery skills, or something like that. But that could definitely be a heading for a section on your homepage of, 3 simple steps to whatever the result is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Goodness, thank goodness there are 2 of us this end.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, it's all like incremental changes that you can make over time. You've already massively helped your website, and we're seeing that in your analytics, that you're starting to get more traffic. So all of this is just making it extra clear to Google what you do, how they can serve you up as that best answer to a Googled problem, or to something that people are looking for. So definitely don't feel like, oh my God, we've still got loads to do. There is, but this is all that foundational stuff that will then just keep working for you. And once you've done it once, and once you've got this to a point where actually, okay, we've done this work, then you don't have to do it again. Unless your business massively evolves, or unless something changes, unless you see new opportunities that you want to then plug in. This is stuff that is done once it's done, and it can help to keep bringing clients into your business, really. So yeah, definitely. So in terms of priorities, looking at the heading structure on your page, looking at your page title and description, and just making that decision on what this page you want it to show up for. So probably something like online cookery classes for teenagers, and just adjusting your page title and description for that. And then the headings as well on your page, just getting that hierarchy in place in the right way on your homepage, really. How does that feel for some next steps for you?
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
That's very good. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. So before we finish, I would love you to give yourself another little shout out, let people know where they can find you, and remind us again of what you do.
Oh, well, it could be cooking classes now, couldn't it? So be in the kitchen.
That's the thing with all of this as well. When you do this work on your website, it makes everything easier. It makes it easier when you're networking, when someone is asking you, when you're at a barbecue and someone asks you what you do, you can easily describe it in plain language. So I think this makes everything easier once you get clear on this kind of stuff, really.
Thank you. Well, I'm Bika Sapian. I'm Be in the Kitchen online specialist cookery school, and I adore teaching teenagers to cook. So that's what I do for their DV skills for life. Cook family suppers, you name it. That's what I love to do, and that's what I am doing.
Fantastic. Love it. And your website is?
It's beinthekitchen.co.uk.
Brilliant. And you've got a YouTube channel as well, haven't you?
I do. Be in the
kitchen.
kitchen.
You can find you on YouTube as well. I did see some of those videos when I Googled you. I did see some of those videos showing up as well. So it's all good. It's all good.
Lovely. Great.
So if this episode has made you think about your visibility and getting your website sorted and just making it so that you can get Google sending you clients regularly through to your business, and you'd like to explore how I can help you with this, book a website potential discovery call. You can go to my website, the websitesuccesshub.com, and you can book a call there and find out how I can help you with my products and services. I've got the membership and one-to-one services that I offer, and you can find that there. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Bea, for being here.
Oh, thank you for having a look.
Yeah, it's been good. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
If you'd like to attract more local clients, grab my free local visibility checklist. It'll show you the simple steps you can take to show up in your area for what you do. You can download it at thewebsitesuccesshub.com/local. And thanks for tuning in to the Website Success Show.